What is going on, everybody? Your eyes do not deceive you. This YouTube channel is live again. Hey. What is going on? It's been a long time. I miss you all so much. We're gonna. So tonight, I know we're going against NXT. So if you guys are watching NXT, you can let us know in the chat what's going on. We'd still like to participate with you guys. But going forward.
Is NXT a tape show tonight? We should have did spoilers like Eric Bischoff did in Nitro. You can skip NXT.
Skip NXT and come to Tornado Tag.
Trick Williams beats the guy who used to be in AEW with a moonsault.
That'll put butts in the seats.
Yeah. Well, that's what it backfired on him. That's what it backfired on them.
Yeah. But we are live. Thank you guys so much. We're back. So we're gonna be holy Hannah. There's a lot of going on here. Last Week in Wrestling and the Long Island Wrestling Podcast. I'm sure I think that's the same person, but we'll take both of them. Go ahead, Brian.
Oh, I thought you would. I'm sharing the thing on my phone. I thought you heard something.
No.
It was me listening to me. It was like very meta for a second.
Oh, yeah. But guys, make sure you share it out. Let people know we're here. Let the Discord community know so everyone can come in and hang out. So this show will now move to Tuesdays. We're not going to be doing this on the weekend anymore. We're going to do it on Tuesdays. And we're going to start at 6:05. And we will be done, hopefully, in time for NXT unless we talk long. But that's the goal, is to get this done before NXT and then lead into NXT and maybe even get to the point where we do some live streams eventually back to Raw and SmackDown, where we probably, myself and Lilly, or if BP wants to join every now and then, more than welcome to. We also want to announce the Tornado Tag is now a Freebird Rules tag team. We're going to introduce the newest member of the Tornado Tag, Lilly. Lilly from Witchcraft by Lilly is going to be joining us. Her backstory real quick is she, just started watching wrestling about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago. Very, very new. And I said, what better dynamic to add to the show is you have someone who probably hasn't stopped wrestling as a fan for their entire life, someone who took a little break for a while, missed a huge chunk, only watched one brand, and someone who's brand fucking new, all kind of coming together and talking all professional wrestling. I think is a lot of fun. Lots
of experience levels, and that's great. Wrestling's for everybody.
Absolutely. And, it probably doesn't help to have a female perspective sometimes.
Yeah,
that too,
we gotta have a little female insight every now and then.
Yeah, she's back there crocheting a jacket for me for an upcoming show, which is really exciting because a lot of people get excited when they see. No, don't you show a thing to anybody. They'll see it when they see it. But yeah, so Witchcraft by Lilly, make sure you check her out. She does great work. She just made her pro wrestling debut this weekend.
Right on. Yeah.
She just did her ring announcing debut. Did a great job. She got a little X-rated when she introduced me, which is fine.
Hardly.
She says,
it was like PG-13.
She says, I call him Daddy, but you can call him ABJ. That was the line on the ring announcing. I thought it was funny.
It was for a one-time thing. It was just for the one time.
How did she know how Paul Bowe used to introduce you?
Yeah. If I start playing Sakwak game with her in the ring, it's a problem. Yeah. Paul Bowe and a referee like to hit each other in the nuts when they're in the ring together and not get caught by the crowd.
I was thoroughly scared, intimidated in the ring. So that was nice.
So she wanted to do something different, and we were trying to think of ways that she can enter it, but do something different than everybody else. So I kind of like pitched the idea to her a little bit because she was nervous to getting in and out of the ring, and I said you should probably only get in and out of the ring for when it means something, for like main events or title fights. Every other time you do it, I said just stay at the curtain. Like New Era has a really cool curtain drop. Yeah. So just stay at the curtain and get that vibe with them as soon as they come through the curtain. And then also we're going to continue. We're going to push storylines a little more. You could do like a post-match interview at the curtain. So we're kind of bringing that TV taping almost where like
very cool.
That curtain is just as important in the middle of the ring. And I think it worked really well. And I think it's going to be a cool way for her to find herself and stand out from everybody else that's doing that role. But she did a great job.
Thank you.
Yeah, so that was kind of our weekend. How have you been recently?
I didn't do a lot of wrestling stuff this weekend. The two places I normally work the most are running the same day for the next couple of months, so that kind of cuts my wrestling stuff in half a little bit. But with what I do with PPW now, the work literally never stops. So as soon as one show's over, we're moving on to the next one, and that's
Fun fact: I might have been put in that same position at New Era.
There you go.
We.
All right.
Yeah, Lily is there, but she got the booking because she's banging the other guy. You know
yeah. Oh wow, wow.
It's pro wrestling.
For the record, that is not the reason that I got the
No,
position. I don't want
the,
that being stained on my name. Let's not do that.
Yeah, it's not who you know, it's who you blow. You know what I'm saying? You know. I'm joking.
Well.
So how about Dynamite last week, huh?
Yeah, we did get a chance to go to Dynamite last Wednesday. That was fun.
Yeah, I haven't watched any pro wrestling, so that Dynamite is probably the only thing I've done recently that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I will get back into watching weekly wrestling, and we will be doing more of that weekly wrestling. Also on the channel, too, a little side note is we're going to be doing some reviews, some show reviews. So coming up very soon, myself and Lily are going to be going back and rewatching some old pay-per-views, some old shows. So we don't want to say like pay-per-views that me and Brian are out of the question, but there's going to be a lot more interaction between me and Lily because we can record things easier because we're with each other. But we're going to start a little bit of a series and go back and do some independent stuff. I want her to go back and relive the old Camp Leapfrog days. So we're going to start with the very first Camp Leapfrog and review it and talk about it and kind of work our way through. BP will be joining us for some of them, but some of them, if he's busy, he won't be. We're not going to overwhelm him. Then next week, we start our part 1 of 3 episodes,
yes.
The Great Debate. Yes. So, the political landscape is out of control right now. You're either one or you're the other, and one cannot get by without the other. And pro wrestling is no different. So BP is going to saddle up and tackle these two candidates and give us all their deep dive and all their history. And then we're going to talk about it on the 3rd week, and we're going to present why we think our candidates are the best, are top of the food chain when it comes to pro wrestling. And we'll be starting off that next Tuesday at 6:00 with the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, the Hitman Bret Hart. And then I'm just giving him his moniker because he only got one moniker. But when you talk about monikers, you got the Heartbreak Kid,
sorry.
you got the Showstopper, you got the. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Bret Hart's not also the Hitman.
Yeah,
the excellence Hitman of execution.
Oh yeah, I guess he has that one too.
Yeah.
Mr. WrestleMania, Mr. First Time Ladder Match, Mr. First Time Hell in a Cell, Grand Slam Champion. The list goes on. I don't want to bore everybody with how amazing Shawn Michaels is. We'll talk about all that and more. Another future episode coming up after that 3-part debate. We're Freebird rules now, and maybe we have something to represent that coming up very, very soon. But what better way to introduce what the Freebirds are than talking about them? We're into the history of the Freebirds. I know that Bad Street USA is going to inspire someone in the chat. Go back to that.
I like this. Go back to that image. I like it because it looks like Buddy Roberts is carrying a gun.
Yeah,
it looks like that ring post is a gun.
Oh, it does. Yeah, or like a big nightstick.
Yeah, he's just making the perfect. Yeah, the fist is in the perfect position. It looks like Buddy Roberts is packing.
Did that on purpose. So we're going to be doing that episode. And then, like I said, we have a whole bunch of stuff. We're going to be back weekly, which is super exciting. And then, like I said, tons and tons of more content. We do have also join the channel. So we have 3 tiers now. We have the $1, and the $1 gets you prioritized chat as well as cool emojis that you can put in the chat room. Then we have the $5 tier, which is called our Champion Series tier. And $5 tier gets you all of the content. Oh, I'm getting loved on by the kitty cat here. Gets you all of the content early. So there is 5 questions that are rolling out and still rolling out that'll last me until next February. Sorry, I can't do this. Sorry. Next February. So there's tons and tons of content. There's tons of interviews that are already done, tons of banging beers that are done, and we're just going to keep piling up that backlog. Tons of interviews. We just dropped an interview with Dr. Ethan Wild, just dropped an interview with Dan Stofko. So there's so much out there that you guys can watch right now for that $5 tier, and it helps the channel so much. Or we have the Cult tier. The Cult of ABJ tier, that's $25, and that gets you private access to our Discord, to private chat rooms that nobody else has access to, as well as things that you could do in the Discord on a certain tier that gets you. So that's pretty much what we got going on there. Tons of fun stuff, tons of merchandise available now. So go grab some merch. And that's pretty much it. That's all I got. Any wrestling? We do got one little bit of wrestling news. Vince McMahon kind of speaking out about this upcoming documentary.
So there's a lot going on in that, and that's coming out I guess it comes out midnight Pacific time, so like 3 a.m. I'm gonna probably wind up watching the whole thing tomorrow. But yeah, so the Mr. McMahon documentary that's been in the works forever is gonna be hitting Netflix tomorrow, and it almost didn't happen. Well, no, it didn't almost not happen, but Vince McMahon reports came out. He released a statement condemning it. Essentially, you've heard over and over again that this is not the typical WWE fluff piece where they're just going to kind of paint a rosy picture of everything. In fact, some people within WWE feel like it's a hit job on McMahon. And so now...
is it a hit job if it's all there?
That's true. Well, I know McMahon said you're only getting one side of the story, but if only he had billions of dollars where he could fund his own movie to tell his side of the story.
Yeah.
But the other thing that came out is, I guess he offered to buy the rights to the movie to basically make it go away, which I think that's happened before with some things where people just bought the rights to something to make it go away. And Netflix said, no, we it's not for sale. Even they say Ari Emanuel got involved, the head of TKO. And they're like, no, we're not scrapping it. Which
is interesting because that's gonna be the home of WWE for the foreseeable future.
Well, it's business. As long as everybody's making everybody money, that's all they're really going to care about as far as that goes. But it is.
Do you think it's Netflix doing damage control? Be like, we're bringing it in, but we don't condone old Vince.
Could be, but this has been in the works for 4 years, and like literally, Vince was participating in it until this whole lawsuit came down, and then Vince just kind of left the public eye, essentially. So it's not like this came out of nowhere. This has been in talks for a long time. It's just interesting that it seems like it has become a thing where this is not going to be a very flattering look at Vince McMahon. Like this is going to, it doesn't seem like punches are going to be pulled here, and probably in a way that most wrestling documentaries haven't had. And it's a lengthy one too. It's a series. It's literally done by the same guy who did Tiger King.
Ooh.
It's the same guy. The same guy directed both of them. And the big thing with that is, again, not the most flattering look at a guy. So it should be entertaining, and it should be a lot of fun. And then Bill Simmons is also involved from The Ringer, ESPN. He did a documentary about probably like 4 or 5 years ago about Andre the Giant that was very interesting.
Yeah. Oh, that's the one where they really went at the HBO one?
Yeah. Bill Simmons was involved with that.
Oh my God. You want to talk about tearjerker? Watch that Andre documentary. Holy Hannah. Fucking broke me like a baby. That shit ruined me. Real quick, going back to what we talked about a little bit with AEW, not so much the AEW aspect talk of it, but the AEW reminded me why I'm an AEW fan that night, because it kind of gives you that like homegrown feel with a big budget. And it was really cool to, like, first off, the pre-show starts, ROH match. Tony Deppen comes rolling out, and we lose our minds, and we're like, man, who could Tony Deppen wrestle? This will be exciting. Q Action Andrade, which was like a match that we could have seen for 10 years of PPW, but it happened under an ROH banner. That was really cool. Then we got to see Rem, who was there that night. Gavin got a really cool moment of getting the VIP access, which is super dope.
We started a Gavin chant. And then and it's just one of those things where like everybody was there. Like we got to see like Matty D, we got to see Paul, we got like everybody that like there was so many people know, like Journey and Junie were all. We didn't get to see Junie though, but we seen Journey. Avery, I got to see Avery at the show. So many cool people, and then the security spot happens, and we're like, oh, security guards at a wrestling show. That means you see some enhancement talent or some people from our local area. We got 4 guys that we know pretty well. We got Luca Mancini, my boy, the Think Tank. We got our
you know him very well.
Yeah, we got Sean Smith, formerly known as Rocket. We got Sturdy Sal, and then we got London Fletcher. No, we got Fletcher Young. I always give him every name with Fletcher in it. That's not his. I suck.
Cox.
Yeah, Fletcher Cox was there. That's really cool.
He's retired. He has time.
Yeah, but yeah, so that was really cool to see local people get some love. Anything else wrestling-wise that you want to talk about before we get into our topic here tonight?
I guess the big news out of last night was Jey Uso winning the Intercontinental title.
Yeah, I heard about that. What WWE changing a major title on television? Imagine that.
Yeah, I thought it was a little soon to take it off of Breaker, but who knows what their plans are. But it could be a thing where they think he's ready to go move up a little bit. Who knows? But
well, I mean, you've been calling him main event Jey Uso. Now he's mid-card Jey Uso, so good for him.
Well, so I called it before Raw only because Rhea Ripley went on Twitter and said Monday Night Raw, and I was like, he's winning. That's it. That was it.
She's learning. She's learning little tricks there.
I got it. I'm figuring it out.
It was an interesting choice. It was definitely an interesting choice, and I do think there is room for that. Just as far as him being a more of a focal point, and that Intercontinental title being more of a focal point. I think you can't really measure the work that especially Gunther put in to really take that title and make it mean something again. And Sami Zayn kept it going, and Braun Breaker kept it going. So it's going to be interesting to see where they go forward with this, just because he went from Gunther, who literally had the longest reign ever, to it's now changed since SummerSlam twice.
Yeah.
Counting SummerSlam.
Wow. Yeah. Well, BP, let's get into our time machine and let's get into our DeLorean, go through our portals, go 88 miles an hour, and let's go back in time to 1995. And somehow, I know your camera looks a little red. You got a brother love thing going on a little bit. You know what I mean?
I've been compared to that man before.
And we're going to go back to arguably, we talked about before we wrapped up here and took a little bit of a hiatus. One of the worst pay-per-views probably in wrestling history, King of the Ring 1995. And we're going to try to right these wrongs. Are we booking the Hardy Boys, or are they still opening the doors?
I was thinking that. I'm thinking, well, why don't we just have the kids at the doors wrestle? That might be a good way to make the show look better. In fairness, I know at least Matt, and I believe also Jeff, did wrestle in WWE before this. I think we talked about that during the King of the Ring episode, where they would come in to do like enhancement work if they were anywhere near the Carolinas, and in fact the guy that brought them in, they wound up cutting him out just because he left the Hardys like stranded states away from their home because he was their ride, and then he was taking their money too, and they
crazy how that still happens in wrestling, huh?
It is. And they just kind of cut that guy out, Gary Sabol, the Italian Stallion. They cut him out and just started booking people through the Hardys. And that's where you get a lot of those Omega guys that the Hardys worked with, like Jason Arndt, who became Joey Abs. I don't know if they really used Shane Helms or anybody like that, but I know they used, I think it was Mike Maverick, one of the guys who became a Dup. In fact, Marty Garner. I think he was one of their guys, Marty Garner, who, if you ever Google Marty Garner, Triple H, he takes a pedigree in a squash match with Triple H.
Where he almost breaks his face.
It's spiked right on his head. Right on his head. But anyway, I tried to keep this with when I do these things, I try to keep it as realistic as possible. I don't want to do things that are too outlandish. But definitely try to make things a little bit better than they were. In this case, I think I wound up making it a lot better, at least bell to bell wrestling wise. This is going to be, I think, much better than King of the Ring 95. And it all starts with that tournament. The King of the Ring is all about the tournament. I did change one of the non-tournament matches because the two non-tournament matches in the real thing, you had Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler in the Kiss My Foot match. I left that alone. And I did make a change where I made it not a tag team match. So it's not Sid and Bam Bam Bigelow against Tatanka or Sid and Tatanka against Bam Bam Bigelow and Diesel. I couldn't think of Diesel. He's a champion at this point. I just had straight up. This is a match they did the next week and the next month in a lumberjack match, but I just did straight up Sid versus Diesel. So that's going to be our main event. It's not going to be a great match, but R.I.P. Sid. We have lost Sid since we last talked about this show. And
did you cut Bam Bam completely out of the card?
Huh?
Did we cut Bam Bam completely out of the card?
Unfortunately, yeah, because there's a tournament, there's going to be a lot of guys not on the card, but he is going to be in a prominent match. I did try to go through. I do have an In Your House for after this, the July In Your House, and then SummerSlam, but not the full card. But yeah,
how much of the tournament did you change? Or are we keeping the tournament the same?
Oh no, you can't have the same exact matches and then make it better. But you can. You don't have Mabel win it. You don't have Savio wrestle 4 times. You don't have Shawn Michaels wrestle once. But no, I did make some changes, but I did so within reason. One of the first things I was thinking was, hey, Razor Ramon should be in this. But Razor Ramon was legitimately hurt. He wasn't hurt badly, but he was hurt enough that they legitimately kept him out of action and put Savio Vega in. So my rule was Razor Ramon can't wrestle. Very important distinction there. So we're going to start with the qualifying matches, which happen on Raw and Superstars and all those things. And the one I'm kind of locked into is Mabel. Mabel beats Adam Bomb. That was actually the first In Your House. And I'm going to keep him with The Undertaker. Undertaker's going to beat Tatanka in a qualifier. And we're going to have Mabel and The Undertaker just like we did for real. Shawn Michaels is still going to be in there. I'll have him beat Jean-Pierre Lafitte in a qualifying match because I think that would be a damn good match. Shawn Michaels and PCO. I like it. Then Owen Hart, who was just kind of Yokozuna's manager on the pre-show, or no, he was doing the hotline, and I don't believe he was hurt. Owen Hart is going to beat Doink in a qualifying match. So instead of Shawn Michaels versus Kama, all due respect to Kama, all due respect to the Godfather, Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart is a good match. I think Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart's a little bit of a better match, and Owen is the reigning king of the ring at this point. So he is defending.
So here's a fun thing. So we were at New Era, and there was somebody selling. Remember the really tiny figures where it was like they looked like apes, where they had no neck and they were just all arms, but they were mini figures.
Yeah.
And it came with 2 wrestlers at a mini ring. Well, they actually sold one around this time, and it was an Owen and Shawn Michaels pack.
Oh, interesting.
It was Mankind and Taker, Brett, Austin, Owen, Shawn, and I think like Goldust and Ahmed Johnson, I think.
Huh. That would probably be 96. In 95, Ahmed is on his way, but I don't think he's there quite yet. And Cactus in 95 is an ECW.
Yeah. Oh, no,
and he's doing great.
98. This might have been 98. Then.
He's doing awesome stuff in ECW. Cactus
so
Jack
we got
ECW.
So we got Mabel Taker, we got Owen Shawn, and that's the top half of the bracket.
That's the top half of the bracket. The bottom half, instead of doing the Roadie and Bob Holly in the tournament, which was the actual match, we're going to do a qualifying match before the pay-per-view, like on a Raw or a Superstars, where Bob Holly is going to lose not to the Roadie, but to the Intercontinental Champion, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett is in the king of the ring. And the other one is going to be completely different. Mabel's already in. Mo is going to get a qualifying match, but he is going to lose that qualifying match to the British Bulldog, Davey Boy Smith.
Ooh.
So our instead of having the Roadie and Bob Holly, which was a pretty good match, it was probably actually the best match on that show. Instead, we're going to get a little more star power in this tournament. We're going to do Jeff Jarrett and the British Bulldog.
All right.
And then Razor Ramon is injured. And then the other person wound up being Yokozuna. We're not going to really do that. We're going to do... Yokozuna can be in Owen Hart's corner. They were the tag team champions at this point. We're going to do the 1-2-3 kid who's going to get in by beating Radford. And he's going to... The setup is going to be originally 1-2-3 kid against Razor Ramon, 2 really good friends. But with Razor being hurt on the free-for-all, or the pre-show, whatever, I think they were calling it the free-for-all by then, we're still going to do Savio Vega, but not IRS. It's going to be Savio Vega and the Roadie, and Savio Vega is going to make the tournament. So Savio Vega's still in the tournament.
Still made it. He's a shot. He still has a shot.
He's still in, but can he go all the way like he did the first time? I don't think he will.
I don't think he's going to.
So
Dear God, I hope not.
Let's get into what we're really going to see in this tournament. Let's get into. We're going to do what they did. They actually started from the bottom up. They actually started at the bottom of the tournament, worked its way up. So our opening match is going to be Savio Vega and the 1-2-3 Kid. It's basically the battle of Razor Ramon's best buddies, and it's the battle of Razor Ramon's best buddies. And Razor's going to be at ringside, and Razor's going to kind of be in that neutral corner, just not really taking a side here. It's my two friends. He's kind of agonizing. He doesn't want anybody to get hurt. He's not trying to get involved or anything like that. And it's going to be a good back and forth match. And I was kind of back and forth on where to go with this one, but Razor's going to get involved here. Not wittingly, but the fight's going to spill to the outside, and Razor's going to bump into Savio, and there's going to be a little bit of words back and forth. Nothing too bad, but it's going to be just enough of a distraction that Savio gets in the ring after the 1-2-3 Kid takes a spin kick. 1-2-3 Kid wins, just because there's this little miscommunication between Razor Ramon and Savio Vega.
Gotcha. I like it.
Is there a little bit of friction there? Who knows? But now we're going to move on to Jeff Jarrett and the British Bulldog. And Jeff Jarrett is going to get the win here. Very dirty, old school Memphis. Just lie, cheat, and steal. Feet up on the rope.
Luca, talking to Luca and Stal and Fletcher. They said Jeff Jarrett looks amazing up close in person. Yeah. He's still huge. He looks amazing. Like they're like, what a moment.
I met Jeff Jarrett. Wow, it's been a while now. I think like 2016, 2015. Whenever they did the Global Force Wrestling show, when that was still a thing, when they did the Global Force show in Harrisburg, I met Jeff Jarrett and Kevin Nash.
Oh wow. I love Jeff Jarrett. I love him so much.
He's great. So the bottom half of our bracket here is going to now be, it's going to be Jeff Jarrett against the 1-2-3 Kid, which is actually no, it was Owen Hart and the 1-2-3 Kid the year before. I take that back. But yeah, Jeff Jarrett and the 1-2-3 Kid, which should be a damn good match. So let's move up to the next, and this is probably my favorite match of this first round, and that is Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. And it almost looks like what really happened in the real thing, where time's running out. If it's a 15-minute draw, then both these guys are out of the tournament. Going at it, back and forth. You know these two would tear the house down. Yeah. Super kick at the very end, but he's got to race the clock. Gets the 3 at 14 minutes and 59 seconds. Shawn Michaels is moving on. But it was that close to being a draw. It was 1 second away from being a draw.
Love it.
But Shawn Michaels is gonna get the win here. So now we have Mabel and the Undertaker. Mabel and the Undertaker is our final match. Yeah, so barn burner. It not going to go the full 15 minutes. We'll just say that. It's not going to go the full 15 minutes here. What is going to happen, though, is we are going to have the $1 Million Corporation getting involved in the real thing. Kama gets involved and actually costs Undertaker the match. They had a big feud going on, which led to a casket match at SummerSlam. Kama's going to get involved. He's going to, as he's being ejected by the referee, the fight goes to the outside. Mabel tries to they pull back the mats and everything. The concrete floor, the core state spectrum is exposed. And as my uncle used to always tell me when he would take me to wrestling back around this time, right under that floor is just a solid sheet of ice because they just put it over the hockey rink. So Mabel's on that, has the Undertaker on that explosive floor, and he's going to give him the big splash. But the Undertaker is able to get out of the way at the last second and get back in the ring, and Mabel gets counted out.
He goes through the ice and he drowns.
No. He's just going to get counted out.
No. How deep do you think it goes?
From what I understand, it's about 6 inches, so probably not knee deep, probably ankle deep.
Oh,
well,
all right.
No, that's a little more than ankle deep. But
could you just imagine beneath every stadium is like a swimming pool? It's like 13 feet deep for no reason.
It's a lot of ice. Probably take a lot of work to keep that cool.
In my brain, it's a pool.
I like that your brain was like, it's a whole pool. There's 13 feet, and BP's brain was like, I wonder how long it would take to freeze that.
Mabel drowns because the whole ring goes, the whole everyone just goes underwater.
Well, now the show's over. Now we can't have a show.
Yeah.
And I don't know how we're gonna have Flyers games ananymore. The Flyers were actually good back then.
Yeah.
Were there lifeboats?
No lifeboats.
There's no
hanging on the
lifeboats
turnbuckle pads.
Yeah. The only boat that was ever in the Spectrum was when Apollo Creed came out in the boat in the Rocky One. I think that was supposed to be in the Spectrum, but they actually shot it in LA. So and a very important thing happens after this match. Kama comes back, not just Kama, but the $1 Million Corporation in mass. Kama, Bundy, DiBiase's leading the charge, but he's not getting physically involved. But Kama, Bundy, everybody but Sid. Sid's in the main event. Sid's not going to be bothered with this. Everybody else just beats the Undertaker to pieces after the match. It's even Mabel gets back, and he finally gets back in the ring, and he does connect on the splash this time, and they just beat the life out of the Undertaker. I almost said, which is kind of hard because he's already dead.
He's dead.
The Undertaker, the Undertaker is very much worse for wear, and that second round now is going to be the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels, which I thought when I was actually going to the show 11 years old, or about to turn 11 years old, about to turn 12. I was like, oh, we're going to get the Undertaker and Shawn Michaels in the second round. Nope. Draw. Michaels is out. They're both out in the first round. And Mabel gets the bye. Already better than that show. Already better. So our second round is now going to be Undertaker against Shawn Michaels. And then in the bottom half of the bracket, we're going to have Jeff Jarrett and the 1-2-3 Kid. That's the match we get now. And this time, Jeff Jarrett again gets the better of the 1-2-3 Kid. Little sneaky, little underhanded, gets the better of him. Jeff Jarrett is moving on to the finals. He's not only the greatest singer, the greatest dancer, the greatest wrestler, the Intercontinental Champion. He's about to be the king. He's just got to get by either Shawn Michaels or the Undertaker. And that match is next. And that match is a little tough because the Undertaker is still. He's got that. He doesn't have his magic urn, so he doesn't have his healing powers. The Undertaker's how did that work? It's such a stupid gimmick. He's got healing powers from the magic urn. How did it work? How? That's how good the Undertaker was. That's how good the. He did have Paul Bearer, but Paul Bearer didn't have the urn.
It was the power of Paul Bearer. It was just.
Paul Bearer's about a year old.
I was just watching it earlier today. Wasn't Paul Bearer?
No, he was there, yeah. But he's about a year away from turning on the Undertaker. He turns on the Undertaker in 1996.
Okay.
Yep.
So
I rewatched it earlier. I swear to God.
No. He was definitely there. He was 100% there. And then
I never liked when he didn't have his face white, when they made him look natural.
Oh, and he didn't dye his hair jet black.
Yeah.
Like later on.
He wasn't super ashy.
Did you ever see him when he was Percy Pringle and he had like platinum blonde hair?
Yeah.
Percival Pringle III.
I don't.
So, spoiler alert for an upcoming episode, I did Dr. Ethan Wilder. Let's take me back to those Camp Believe Frog days. What do you think fondly of? He goes, well, I'm not going to make excuses for that hair. his platinum blonde mullet. And he's like, and my not tailored suit, which is very baggy on me. I love him so much.
But that was the charm of that whole thing, is how lo-fi it was. That was
so
most of the charm of Camp Believe Frog.
Yeah, I can't wait for take Lily on this journey.
We've begun.
I definitely would love to revisit. My all-time favorite one they did was Love Frog. Love Frog.
Yeah. That was the one that I messaged Alice. I was like, listen, I can't take it anymore. How can I get involved?
That was special. That was a fun show. That was a really fun show.
Missed my chance working with Effie once again.
So now we have Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker, a rivalry for the ages. I don't know if they had wrestled at this point yet, though.
No, I think
if they did, it wasn't a big thing. But
Hell in a Cell's like their first time they touch, right? Like they're big.
Well, no, they wrestled the month before that. It was a double DQ, but they didn't have a program or anything at this point, because Shawn is just kind of starting to make his way up the card. He's kind of coming out of that mid card and is starting to really cement himself as a main event player, which we're gonna work on here. He's already won the Royal Rumble this year. He's main event. Well, he didn't main event WrestleMania, but he was in a title match and fell short and made Diesel look bad. And so Sean's going to get the win here because the Undertaker is not the Undertaker. The Undertaker is about a half hour removed from a hell of a beating. He's given it his all. Takes that super kick, tries to sit up, does sit up, gets super kicked again, sits up, gets super kicked again, and this time he can't get up, and it's 1, 2, 3. Our finals for the King of the Ring is going to be Shawn Michaels and Double J Jeff Jarrett.
Which is a match I'll watch every weekend.
Oh, their match at the In Your House.
The In Your House, yeah.
So let's go to the other matches here. So Bret Hart's we're not gonna do a whole lot of changes with Bret Hart and Jerry Lawler. Bret's still gonna win. Hakushi's still gonna kind of mess up.
Dude, the promo he cuts in that where his toes sticking out of the sock and he's spraying the air freshener, and like Jerry Lawler was so good.
He knew how to
smell problem.
To ham it up. Yeah, he knew how to ham it up, because then it just makes it all the better when Bret makes Jerry Lawler kiss his own foot. Yeah. And I didn't want to go too far off the reservation with this. I didn't go too far off of what really happened. So we're still going to do that. We're still going to set up Isaac Yankem and the very beginnings of Kane.
Yeah.
So now we're going to go to the King of the Ring finals. It's Shawn Michaels against Double J Jeff Jarrett. And Double J's been feuding with Razor Ramon for a while. So Razor's keeping an eye on this match. He's not going to get involved, but he's going to keep an eye, because they've had their history. They had their ladder match. They had their wars and everything, but he respects Shawn Michaels. And so he's going to be ringside as Shawn Michaels claims the crown. He's going to win the Royal Rumble and King of the Ring.
Look at you, BP, doing the right thing.
Barn burner. Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels is going to get the win here at King of the Ring 95, and the coronation is just it's a celebration, because Shawn Michaels was so over in that building. If you just recently watched it, they loved Shawn Michaels, and because he's freshly turned babyface. It's the first time he's been a babyface since the Rockers, and people are loving it. People are really, really loving it. So they have the big coronation. They put the crown on him. They put the cape on him. The scepter is actually taken by Razor Ramon, who breaks it over Shawn's head from behind.
Yep.
Razor's Edge on the stage. Shawn rolls off in a heap. The bad guy is a bad guy again. And here's the problem that Diesel had through his whole title run. He didn't have quality heel challengers. And I always think back to this time, and I always think, why didn't they turn Razor Ramon? And I think it was rumored at the point that they did a lumberjack match with Sid and Diesel, and the rumor was Razor's going to turn, and they're going to do Razor and Diesel. Because here's the thing with the Clique: anytime you put any of those guys together in a match, it was always incredible, because they trusted each other, they knew each other's strengths and weaknesses, and if there's actually, I think there's a match. It's like, I think it's Shawn Michaels and Diesel against Razor and the 1, 2, 3 Kid from like Action Zone, and it's incredible. And
you now want to bury your lead here, but Diesel then drops the title to Razor, and then because Shawn wins the Rumble, does Shawn reclaim the title back off Razor later on? Do we get a Razor World Champion run?
Let's not get ahead of ourselves. I think that might be a little unrealistic, because they were still trying to make Diesel Hulk Hogan. So I don't know how realistic it is to take the title off of him at SummerSlam and then move on to Shawn Michaels. Like, they're still at this stage in the game, they're very much, Diesel is our guy, and we are going to do everything we can to make him the next Hulk Hogan. And it didn't work because they wanted him to be Hulk Hogan and they didn't want him to be Kevin Nash. That's one of the reasons it didn't work. And the other reason it didn't work was because they didn't have any real challengers for him. Shawn was a great challenger. Sid wasn't the most amazing wrestler, but at least Sid was a star. Like, people believed in Sid. King Mabel, now you're kind of getting, he's probably not even as good as Sid in the ring, and he was just a tag team guy forever. I mean, the only thing he has going for him, no offense to Mabel, may rest in peace, is he's a big guy. And we were kind of getting away from that in wrestling, but that was getting back to the Hulk Hogan booking of, I'm just going to have my babyface champion that's shaking hands and kissing babies fight the monster of the week. And after the thing with Mabel runs its course, now they have they turn British Bulldog heel, and Diesel does a program British Bulldog. And that's when there was a match they had at one of the In Your Houses that was so bad that they said, like, Vince just kind of cursed them out from commentary after the show and off the air. And the next month, they take the title off of Diesel and put it back on Brett. And just use Brett as a transition champion to Michaels. And because at that point, you're like, yeah, Shawn's the guy. But then Shawn, that was even kind of muddied for a little bit when Shawn got attacked from behind by an entire battalion of
when literally they called the National Guard in for little old Shawn Michaels, who was minding his business, reading a Bible in a bar. You know?
Yeah, totally didn't instigate the whole thing, and totally
he was just writing his Bible. The guy was reading his Bible. They attacked him for being a Christian. Is what it came down to.
Yeah, it was a bunch of atheist National Guardsmen in a tank that attacked Shawn Michaels.
Guy lost his smile. It was tough. He's a true patriot, you know?
Yeah, it had nothing to do with him having to drop a title. So, these are going to be fun these next 3 weeks. It's going to be so fun.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be so fun.
Yeah. It's going to get ugly. It's going to test our friendship.
So I feel like the third one, when it actually comes down to the debate, is I'm going to have to decide between the two.
Yeah, and it's going to be Shawn.
We hope.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I don't know if Lily's going to be a partial judge here. So
I'm gonna make her do a lot of research and watch both their matches and stuff like that. And she'll do her research.
My exhibit, and I always say this is always my Brett Shawn comparison, and it's from this year. It's from 1995. In January of 1995, Bret Hart wrestles Diesel at the Royal Rumble, and then Shawn Michaels wrestles Diesel at WrestleMania 11, like 3 months later. And if you watch that Bret Hart Diesel match, you will think that Diesel is an incredible wrestler. And if you watch that Diesel Shawn Michaels match, you will think Shawn Michaels is an incredible wrestler. And that for me is the magic of Bret Hart.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, back to the show. We're gonna kind of put a bow on the Diesel Sid feud here. Diesel's gonna beat Sid clean in the middle, 1, 2, 3. And Diesel is going to have a little bit of a stare down in the aisleway with the bad guy, with Razor Ramon, because he's seething over what happened to Shawn Michaels. This is the second time Shawn Michaels, it's almost a foreshadowing to the 101st Airborne beating him up in Syracuse, because this is the second time in a little bit of time that Shawn Michaels has just been completely clobbered by a heel. First it was Sid, now it's Razor Ramon on his turn. So this is going to take us to In Your House. In Your House it's the second In Your House in July. Keep in mind these were 2-hour pay-per-views and there were 5-match cards. So our 5-match card here, we're going to get a rematch, or not a rematch, but a match of two people who almost were against one another in King of the Ring, Jeff Jarrett and Savio Vega for the Intercontinental title. We're going to have Bob Holly against the Roadie because they had a good match at King of the Ring. Let's throw them a bone here. And I tried to make it, I tried to replicate like actual In Your Houses where you would have like a few mid-card matches, a few main event matches, and you would have some big stars that just weren't on the show. Bret Hart's not on this card. So we have Jarrett and Savio. Jarrett's going to retain the Intercontinental title there. Bob Holly and the Roadie. We'll have the Roadie win that one. Because if you remember, this is also the In Your House. This is actually In Your House. We're going to say this doesn't happen here. This was the In Your House where Jeff Jarrett quit the company and the Roadie. They both walked out after the match with Michaels. Yep. So the Roadie's going to beat Bob Holly, and we're going to get the big debut of the With My Baby Tonight song. We're going to have a 6-man tag kind of coming off of what happened at... I said we put a bow on the Diesel Corporation thing, but we didn't. We kind of did and we didn't. We're going to have a 6-man tag here where Sid, Kama, and Tatanka are going to lose to The Undertaker, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Diesel.
Okay.
Oh, no. I have that wrong. No, I have that right. I'm sorry. For some reason...
Well, you said Brett wasn't on this card for In Your House too, right? Yes, he was.
No, I
Brett
mean...
wrestled John Pierre...
I'm not talking about this. I'm not talking about the real one.
Oh, I thought you meant the actual one.
No.
Oh, okay. Let's say Brett wrestles PCO. That was a good match.
Oh, it was an excellent match. It was an excellent match. It was an excellent match in a horrible angle. The whole reason they were fighting was because Jean-Pierre Lafitte stole his leather jacket.
Yeah,
that was the whole reason they fought. One of the I always loved that. That would be a fun episode. Just matches with really bad builds, like when Chris Jericho and Kane had a thing because Jericho was coffee on him, and that was their feud. Yeah. My favorite one is it's leading in the WrestleMania 18. It's Booker T and Edge, which is a perfectly fine match, good match, but the whole thing was Booker T was mad at Edge because they were the two finalists to get a contract for a Japanese shampoo commercial, and Edge got the contract for it. So Booker T was mad. And during the match, there's a guy right on full view of hard cam. There's a guy that holds up a sign that says they're fighting over shampoo.
It's almost as silly as Jericho and Kevin, where he kept using the finger to rope break. So like Kevin just beats his finger out to the point he wins the match.
Yeah, he's working the finger. Yeah, he's working the finger.
He worked the finger.
But yeah, so literally that Brett Jean-Pierre Lafitte match that really happened, the whole angle was that because Brett was he had a different direction. He was fighting with Jerry Lawler and Isaac Yankem, but they wanted to save the Isaac Yankem thing for SummerSlam. So they wound up doing the side thing with Jean-Pierre Lafitte. And they just knew, like, no matter what you did with Brett, not that it was a really nice jacket. Yeah. Well, this is now reminding me of one of the early I think it was even maybe the first Raw. If it wasn't the first Raw, it was maybe the second. They did a small feud just on Raw between Randy Savage and Repo Man, because Repo Man Savage was one of the commentators, but he would still wrestle every now and then. And they're doing a commentary thing, and Repo Man just hits Savage from behind and takes his hat and runs out of the Manhattan Center, and he's dancing and cackling on. I guess that would be 34th Street in Manhattan, and he gets in his Repo Man truck and drives off with Randy Savage's hat. And that's the whole thing. He stole my hat. I want my hat. Give me my hat back, Repo Man. And that's it. That's the feud. So then our main event. Oh no, we have one more match, tag title match. Owen Hart and Yokozuna are going to beat the Allied Powers. I think that really did happen on In Your House too. And then our main event is going to be for a title match at SummerSlam, for a shot at the WWF title at SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels, the Heartbreak King. There's your branding. There's your T-shirt you can sell now. The Heartbreak King, Shawn Michaels, against Razor Ramon. This one's not going to end well. This was not going to end well for HBK. Razor Ramon's going to pull out every trick in the book, and he's going to get the better Shawn here, which is going to lead us to SummerSlam. I didn't do a whole card here, but we will do Men on a Mission against the Allied Powers. Just get a tag match on there. Brett's still going to wrestle Yankem. Undertaker's still going to wrestle Kama. We're going to do something on Raw, because you need to have some stuff going on Raw, too. So not only does Razor turn, and you know what? Let's rewind. We're in our time machine. We're going to rewind. Not only does Razor turn on Shawn Michaels, the 1, 2, 3 Kid turns on him, too. So we have a little heel group there. The Kid went bad, too. So Savio Vega's going to wrestle the 1, 2, 3 Kid. We'll give Savio a win there. Savio's been losing quite a bit. And then Intercontinental title match. We're going to move it from In Your House 2 to SummerSlam. Shawn Michaels is going to win the Intercontinental title from Jeff Jarrett. But it's probably not going to last long, because he's going to have to wrestle Dean Douglas. Well, then again, what do we do with Dean Douglas now? Because Dean Douglas can't feud with Razor Ramon.
He's fired.
He can go back to ECW. He's going back anyway soon. Hey, he did get that legendary 14-minute Intercontinental title reign, because he technically beat Shawn by forfeit and then lost it right to Razor Ramon. And then in our main event to put a bow on this, we're going to try our best. Instead of giving Diesel a kind of a tough match with King Mabel, we're going to give a match with Razor Ramon, very charged. Razor's a big star, and Diesel's going to be the Razor's Edge against the Jackknife.
The Jackknife.
It's a rematch of last year's SummerSlam, because the SummerSlam before this, and this is something that they're going to build up all the way through. If we go back 1 year to SummerSlam 1994, Razor Ramon beat Diesel for the Intercontinental title, and now they're wrestling for the WWF title. And luck for Razor.
Name, Jackknife. Jackknife Paramount was a good name. Great
especially for a guy named Diesel.
Yeah, a trucker guy, a Jackknife. That's awesome.
Oh, I totally forgot. Michaels and Jarrett's a ladder match. Totally forgot that. Because they really did Michaels and Razor in a rematch ladder match here. So Michaels and Jarrett's going to be a ladder match, and then Razor and Diesel.
That'd be so good. That'd be better than Jarrett, like the Part 2 ladder match. To be honest with you.
And then Razor and Diesel, Diesel must pose. Diesel's Hulk Hogan here, so Diesel's going to get the win. Is this enough to kickstart Diesel into the next Hulk Hogan? Probably not, because it just wasn't a good fit, and we're probably gonna have to run the Save Us Brett, and then that'll transition to Michaels, and then the whole idea is Michaels is going to beat Brett in WrestleMania 12, and then Brett's going to get it back at WrestleMania. Oh yeah, that's right. Lost his smile.
Got him.
Shame.
It happens. Listen, we all make mistakes, It's not about who you were, BP. It's about who you become, And I'm sure we'll talk about that in the debate.
I can't wait to see Brett in this McMahon documentary. I cannot wait, because people are going to be like John Cena, and the people who are very political, like people who are related to him, like either by marriage or by blood, are going to be very political with their answers. Oh, Vince is a complicated guy. All geniuses are complicated, and Brett, he's a piece of shit. Brett is just going to unload on him. Brett's just gonna.
Brett's become the go-to documentary guy because he just is so bitter and angry. He shoots on everybody.
He's become kind of like the more subdued Jim Cornette.
Yeah. What was the one where it's like the WCW documentary? He just fucking tears it. And doesn't he admit the documentary he was doing coke or something?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe.
I just been hearing so many stories of everyone smoking weed with Brett at shows. And it's like, I smoke weed with Bret Hart. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
That is very cool.
Yeah.
I bet nobody's smoking weed with Shawn Michaels.
I will one day.
I don't think he's a good God-fearing man. No, I don't think he's partaking.
I'll smoke weed and shake his hand. That's what I'll do.
Yeah,
there you go.
It comes from the earth, so it's fine.
It's the devil's lettuce.
There's plenty of Christians that are like,
the devil's lettuce.
But it's not made in a lab, man. It's made from the leaves from God.
All right. Well, that'll do it. What if King of the Ring 95? I think you did a good job. You booked the greatest winner of all, probably the greatest King of the Ring of all time. Gave it to Shawn Michaels.
No, 93 had a pretty good one.
Yeah, you did it. You did well. You did good.
Actually, 96 had a pretty good one too.
Yeah. We made 95 better. Let us know in the chat if BP rebooked 95 better than what it was. The answer is yes. I don't care what anybody says.
You're getting Shawn Michaels and Owen Hart. You're getting Shawn Michaels and Jeff Jarrett. You're getting I even Bulldog and Jarrett's a good match. 1, 2, 3 Kid and Jarrett's they're good matches up and down. The only bad one's probably Undertaker and Mabel.
Yeah, but it set up a story, and you had to take down Undertaker. So
we broke the spectrum.
Yeah. We Mabel dove through the ice.
It's like when Hulk Hogan would do those promos where he talks about like the seas are gonna part and he's gonna save Donald Trump because he's a Hulkamaniac and all this. And it's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah,
like I expect those promos from Warrior.
Yeah. Speaking of that, do you want to do a quick unboxing?
Yeah, let's go.
We got a couple minutes. So this just came in.
Oh,
my pro wrestling crate, and it's the masks and paint edition. I don't even think Lily has seen this yet.
I have not. I brought the box up.
All right, so the first T-shirt. There's one T-shirt I'm not gonna wear. I already looked at it, but I'm definitely wearing this one. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Wrestlers.
That's a fun shirt. I just saw. By the way, if I can make a recommendation for everybody to check out something, it is WWE Vault on YouTube is putting out some crazy stuff. It's a YouTube channel that the WWE has now. It's just called WWE Vault, and they put out like a whole episode of WCW Saturday Night. They put out a dark match that Christopher Daniels did like back in like 1998 when he still had hair, almost or kind of. They've been putting out a lot of things there. They put out. Because earlier this week, or last week rather, I watched The Queen of Villains, which is a pretty interesting Netflix
I have to
series
watch that, yeah.
About Dump Matsumoto, who is probably the greatest heel in women's, definitely Japanese women's wrestling, maybe women's wrestling, period. Dump Matsumoto was crazy. And so, I don't know why I was talking about that now. My brain just completely evaporated.
Well, while you're thinking, here's the shirt I won't be wearing, and if anybody wants to buy it, it's for sale.
Okay.
Oh yeah. No, you're not making anything out of this.
Let me see it.
Fuck the Ultimate Warrior.
But I could
No,
though.
no, you
but
can't.
I can.
There's two shirts you will never see me in. It's a Hulk Hogan and an Ultimate Warrior.
You had to wear it. I said I could make something cool out of it and sell it.
No,
I can give it to a local SPCA. They can piss all over it.
It doesn't make the world work.
No,
it doesn't make the world work.
So these are kind of cool. They made it smaller this time, but they have these brawler balls. Well, it's a double-headed thing. One side is supposed to be Matt, and the other side is Jeff.
That's cool.
Yeah. Then they made another one. It was the Legion of Doom. They made a sticker of it.
Oh, that's sweet.
The pin, awesome. When you think of wrestlers who were never wrestlers, but they were wrestlers in movies, what's a movie that had a wrestler in it that sticks in your brain?
Nacho Libre.
No.
I'm drawing a blank here.
It was just actually you just had it on Netflix the other day.
On
TV, yes.
A wrestler?
There's someone in the movie who is a wrestler. They play a wrestler, but
Captain Insano?
Close. It's an Adam Sandler movie. It's an Adam Sandler movie.
Oh.
And it's not Captain Insano?
Who is it?
The revolting blob from Billy Madison.
Oh, okay. I fell asleep on
that is really
Billy
cool.
Madison.
Yeah. Not one, but two micro brawlers. Mustafa Ali.
Is that Clay? Oh, I thought that was
and
Glacier.
Max Moon. Max Moon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That is cool. You know who he wrestled on you know who Max Moon wrestled on the very first Monday Night Raw, right?
This is great for audio.
No.
Shawn Michaels.
Who do you wrestle? Oh yeah?
He wrestled Shawn Michaels.
Danhausen mask.
Oh,
no,
very nice.
Give me that. Give me it.
That is cool. That is very cool. So I remember what I was talking about. I was talking about the WWE Vault. Let's see what the autograph is real quick. But because of that turtle shirt. Oh, Gangrel. Very cool.
I met him, but I didn't get his autograph. So, look at very nice very Lily.
His eye.
Now, if you're gonna wear that, you have to do the Danhausen voice. And
very
no sweating.
Nice. Very easy.
Do not curse. If you curse, it's very bad. If you curse, I don't get the monies.
So the WWE Vault channel is super cool. They've been putting out a lot of obscure stuff. I think they put out something. It might have been on the regular YouTube, but they never put this on TV. But they tried to do when Ninja Turtles were at their peak. They tried to do a tag team called the Toxic Turtles, and they were just knockoff Ninja Turtle wrestlers. It was and one of them was actually Gilbert. It was Dwayne Gill and Barry Hardy. They would do they were a regular tag team, like an enhancement tag team. They would either be themselves. Sometimes they would wear masks and be the executioners, but they were the Toxic Turtles, and they were just knockoff Ninja Turtle wrestlers. And then they weren't the only one. And Memphis had Cowabunga the Ninja Turtle. For a little bit. And it was actually Cowabunga was played by Mark Curtis, Brian Hildebrand, he would be an interesting guy to do. A very sad story. He would be an interesting guy to do an episode on. He was the first three graduates of Dominic DeNucci's wrestling school were Shane Douglas, Mick Foley, and Brian Hildebrand. Wow. And Brian Hildebrand was just way too small, especially in the 80s and 90s, to be a wrestler. He was just a skinny dude who knew a lot about wrestling. Everybody that knew him would say he was a genius, like a wrestling genius. And he just didn't have the right build to be a pro wrestler, so he became a referee. He was Jim Cornette's main referee in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. He actually came to do a match between Foley and Shane Douglas, Cactus Jack and Shane Douglas, in ECW. I think it was when Foley was leaving. He was the referee. I think that might have been Foley's last match. And yeah, he goes on to be a ref in WCW. But he played Cowabunga the Ninja Turtle. And I don't remember now. I think it was in USWA. It may have been in Smoky Mountain. It may have been in Smoky Mountain that he was Cowabunga the Ninja Turtle. Because I think he may have wrestled. Yeah, I think he may have wrestled Jim Cornette actually.
That's awesome.
But because even though he was undersized, he was very athletic, and he was one of the first guys to really, because that was back in the days when if you wanted to watch stuff that wasn't in your area, you had to tape trade. Like that was one of the big things with the Wrestling Observer. People who wanted to tape trade would just put their address in the Wrestling Observer, and you would trade tapes with one another. And people would try to get tapes from Japan, tapes from Mexico, and he had like all this stuff. Like some of the earliest heavy usage of VCRs came from wrestling, from people taping their local wrestling and just mailing it to each other. They say one of the first people in the world, or at least in the United States, to own a recordable VCR. And I think we mentioned this earlier this year when we did the WrestleMania 1 episode. One of the first guys to ever have one of those was Playboy Buddy Rose, who was the executioner in WrestleMania 1. And he would just tape all of Portland wrestling, and a lot of the Portland wrestling tapes you have now, that anything you see from Portland, probably was a like 7th or 8th generation dub of Buddy Rose's tapes. Like a lot of the old Memphis stuff is like a 7th or 8th generation dub of Jim Cornette's old tapes. Him and Kenny Bolin, who was another manager, they had a falling out, but they were childhood friends, and they had a big antenna on their TV, and they knew when wrestling was coming on, and they lived in Louisville, so they would move the antenna toward Memphis when Memphis was coming on, and they would move it toward Indianapolis when Dick the Bruiser stuff was coming on, or Cincinnati. They would literally manipulate their antenna to make sure they were getting all the wrestling they could.
That's insane.
See what you had to do before, like Peacock?
Yeah, before the internet. BP, anything you want to plug or talk about before we get out of here?
Let's plug PPW Thriller. It's going to be October 12th. It is 2 weeks from this Saturday. A lot of fun stuff coming up there. I think that we've only announced, 3 matches so far, but they're all matches I'm very excited to see. We are going to have Facade defending that PPW heavyweight title. He called him out. Facade called his shot. He said he wants to take on the very best, and in his opinion, the very best, the guy he's wrestled in a lot of multi-man matches before, trying to get away from as many multi-man matches, especially for the big titles in PPW. He has never had a chance to go one-on-one for the title with VSK, and that is going to change October 12th. Facade VSK one-on-one for the PPW title. The No Limits title, the future of PPW, on display on that one. Just announced last night, we're going to have Tom Mitchell, the reigning defending PPW No Limits champion, against Sugar Dan Stofko, the No Good Commission's cornerstone. The center.
Who I just interviewed is available right now on YouTube.
So he is Sugar Dan is.
If you remember, yes,
that's right. So Sugar Dan is. So Sugar Dan is going to get a shot there at the No Limits title. And then the other match, I'm so happy we're going to have Brad Baylor back. Brad Baylor is going to be making his return to PPW, and he is going to be facing Diego Hill. That could be a show stealer. That's one I got circled. That's one I've definitely got circled. And who knows? Who knows what the holder of that golden ticket briefcase, Rembrandt, has in store? It's gonna be, any night could be the night.
Yeah.
Look, if Facade, we were worried if Facade was going to be in the building there at AEW. Jeff Carden, the senior referee, was there, and
Paul, and you were there. You could have made it official.
There were like PPW officials were there, PPW referees. If Facade would have been there, and if Rembrandt would have rolled him up, we would have counted. That would have counted anytime, any place, anywhere.
I got New Era Pro Wrestling is coming back to the Falcon's Nest, I believe. Yes. Mm-hmm. On
October the 9th.
Yeah, October 19th. Bateman's
Very
Revenge, cool. Time to Dig Deep. That show is coming up, as well as the same day. Unfortunately, I will not be at New Era Pro Wrestling. My first time missing a show because BP, guess what I didn't have on my bingo card this year?
What's that?
Being on a Smashmaster graphic. Alex decides, he put the company up on Boiling Point and lost it like an idiot to Wild LLC. Wild LLC appointed me as a new member and as a commentary team member, and because this is still technically a high tension production, you see it down there in the bottom left, we're allowed to show up. So I'm deciding I'm gonna invoke my ability and as a member of a team who owns the company, I'm showing up for commentary. So nothing they can do about it. I'm gonna do whatever I want, because we own the network, so I'll show up whatever company I want that's part of that network, and I'll just take a commentary seat. That was yours. Later, loser. I'm sitting down with someone I'm very excited to work with, Toddy. They're super talented from the Pittsburgh area. I cannot wait to work with them.
I have actually worked with Toddy before.
Oh yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm excited to work with them, and we'll be at Smash Yard again. This will be a show in New Jersey, so make sure you get your info on that one right away, because that's going to be pretty crazy. I'm hearing it's going to be like a backyard deathmatch show. So that's the two things I have coming up. We'll keep promoting those as they come. But anything else you want to talk about before we get out of here, BP?
No, that's going to be a good time. I'm glad to see that. Toddy's good people. I'm glad to see you're working with Toddy.
Yeah, I'm excited. All right, well, that'll do it. Tornado Tag Podcast. We'll see you guys next Tuesday, 6:05. Mark your calendars. We will be here talking about one half of our debate, the excellence of execution, or the best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be, Bret Hart. We'll see you guys next time. We're out of here.